Thank you all for being here today. Before we start, we just want to first take a moment to thank Samantha and the Parkinson's Voice Project for opening up this beautiful space for all of us and providing all of this wonderful food and bringing us all together in a place where we can feel comfortable and we can come together and really honor the life of Jim Dixon. So thank you so much to Samantha and to all of the staff and to everyone who's done so much today to make this day possible.
I would like to open with a reading from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 14. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done in the beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. That each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, and nothing taken from it. This is the word of the Lord.
Thank you. That was Xavier Birch, one of the many great-grandchildren represented here today. First, we are so grateful for all of you who are here today to help us celebrate the life of our sweet granddaddy. First, I would introduce us in case you don't know us. We are two of Jim's granddaughters. I'm Sabia Lee. I'm daughter of Terry Lee. And this is my sister and my best buddy. This is Alia. After 95 blessed and beautiful years, Jim Dixon passed on Tuesday, June 2nd, surrounded by people who loved him very much. He is survived by his loving wife of 53 years, Brenda Heffington Dixon. They are really an example of what a beautiful marriage can and should be, and we're all lucky to have had their example. His brother, Mac Ray Dixon of Atlanta, his son, Dr. Tom Dixon, and his grandchildren, Delina, Rebecca, Rachel, Tommy, Jimmy, Dion, Sabia, and Alia, and so many great-grandchildren, many of whom are here today to share the love and memories, and even a great Tiny over there. We also hold in our hearts his parents, Rose and Troy, his brother Tommy Jack, and his two children, Terry and Tony, who preceded him in death and are now waiting to welcome him into heaven. Jim started this life as an amazing baby, weighing in at 12 pounds, and his mom put out a washing the same day she gave birth to that 12-pound baby. Wow. So this is an amazing family. He was an amazing man until the very end. Truly one of a kind. Everyone who knew him knew that was true. When talking about him this week with family and friends, and that's always one of the gifts of something like this happening, is everyone comes forward to talk about how special this man was. And we always ended up with the same subject. Granddaddy was a helper. It didn't matter if you needed a ride to the airport or help with your car or advice and mentorship during one of the more difficult times during your life, he was there. He was a man of his word. If he said he would be there, he would be there. If he said he would help you, and always go above and beyond the call of what you even thought he might do for you. He was a steady presence, a guiding hand. He would open his heart and in many cases his home to friends and family alike whenever the need was there. In a world when you can't count on much, you could always count on Jim Dixon. Granddaddy loved big. Anyone who knew him knew that about him. He had a big, beautiful laugh that could fill a room. He was a hugger, and he had a knack for holding you and making you feel so safe. He never met a stranger, and was just as likely to help someone he had just met as a lifelong friend.
Granddaddy was a man of faith, a devoted Baptist who served in the church as a deacon and lay minister, often acting as the hands and feet of Jesus, loving and serving others. Anyone who knows me and my sister knows we have a confusing family tree. Inevitably, when I'm talking about my family, a question arises. The person I'm speaking to gets a very confused look on their face, and I have to explain my complicated family history. But with Granddaddy, it never felt complicated. It was really quite simple. He was my granddaddy, and I was his granddaughter. And I always knew, without a question in my mind, how much he loved me. He would have done anything for me, and did, more times than I can count. I will miss his giant hands, his big laugh that filled a room, the way he always smelled so good, and those hugs. There was nothing quite like a granddaddy hug. Being wrapped up in that gentle giant of a man felt like the warmest and safest place in the whole world. And I can't wait to hug him again, when we meet again someday. Granddaddy was smart, not just book smart, though he was double promoted twice, graduated at the age of 16, and had the ability to solve any technical problem you put in front of him. Not just street smart, though he was in a cowboy gang in high school, I didn't know that, and dated the prettiest senior in school as a freshman, but he was also emotionally intelligent. He knew how to listen and make you feel seen and heard. Granddad grew up on a farm and ranch, and he was proud of where he came from. He brought the lessons he learned on the farm with him everywhere he went. He believed in the power of hard work. He believed that if Mama made 3 pies, you were expected to eat 3 pies. And he believed in the power of positivity, and he was right. His life exemplified the idea that through positive thinking, 95 beautiful years were possible.
Amen.
Back in 2010, when he was turning 80 years young, Sabia asked Granddaddy to write down 80 remembrances. While he didn't quite get to 80, there are so many beautiful thoughts captured in what he wrote. And we thought this was a lovely summary. He said, "Every day I expect good things to happen, and it amazes me how often my expectations are met or exceeded. From where I stand today, I expect and look forward to another 20 years or more of a healthy, happy, and exciting life." And he was right. He had over 20 more healthy years with all of us.
One of the things I feel like I inherited from my granddaddy was my fast walk. He also wrote a story about that. I was around 10 or 12 years old when I was walking behind a fast walking mule. You were afraid that you either kept up or you got drug along. I developed a very fast walk gait that I still enjoy to this day. I have long legs and a long stride that make it difficult for anyone to keep up with me. To this day, I can walk fast for a long time, but tire fairly easily when I walk slowly or stand still. Ollie has spent her life trying to make her little legs keep up with mine, and we have Granddaddy to thank for that. And finally, we were so lucky to have Granddaddy's belief that anything is possible. He said, most of the time when a new opportunity opened up, I didn't know how to do it, I just knew I could. I now know that when we firmly set a goal, our subconscious finds the way to make it happen step by step. What an amazing discovery.
Amen. That's good.
We are so grateful to Granddad for all of the love and all of the lessons that he shared over the years. We are grateful for his long life, and we are grateful for his endless supply of love. And it is because of this one kind man that we are all here today. So please take this time to love one another, to appreciate one another, and to lead one another. That is the example that Granddaddy set for us all of his life, and nothing would make him happier.
My name is Julie Chapman, and over the past 9 years, Jim and Brenda became my family, my extra grandparents, as I like to call them. Being loved by Jim was one of the greatest gifts God ever placed in my hands. I met him in June of 2017 when Brenda hired me as her student assistant here at Parkinson Voice Project. I was sitting at the front desk maybe a week into the job when he walked past me into Brenda's office. At first, I didn't know who he was until I saw him hug and kiss Brenda. And I remember thinking, okay, she definitely knows him. A few minutes later, Brenda introduced us, and I'll never forget the first thing he said to me. He said, "Brenda told me you were beautiful. I didn't have to ask which one you were." That was Jim. He made you feel seen and special instantly. It didn't take long before Jim and Brenda meant something far deeper to me. They became my family. We spent so much time together, sharing meals, watching old movies, and just being together. And of course, Fox News would be playing on the TV at some point during those visits. Before Jim, I never paid much attention to Fox News. But over time, it became comforting because my pawpaw loved it too. And after Pawpaw passed away in 2023, sitting next to Jim with that same familiar sound on in the background, it felt like God was giving me a little piece of Pawpaw back. Jim reminded me so much of Pawpaw. His steadiness, his gentleness, the way he made me feel safe. And both of them were men of strong, unwavering faith. Men who trusted God with their whole hearts. I like to believe that they have found each other in heaven and that they're both keeping an eye on me. But when I think of Jim, more than anything, I think of his hugs. Jim gave the kind of hugs that made you feel safe, like everything was going to be okay. I'll never forget 2020 when we weren't supposed to hug. I would meet Jim and Brenda in their apartment parking lot and visit, stand 6 feet apart, pretending that was enough, but it wasn't. One evening, Jim came outside with a trash bag and said, "I have an idea." He put the bag over my head and hugged me as tight as he could. And in that moment, the world felt right again. That was Jim. He always found a way to love people, no matter what stood in the way. These last several weeks with him were hard, but they were precious. Walking through those hospital and rehab days with Jim and Brenda was love in its truest form. I will never forget that I got to be there when he took his last breath and went home to be with Jesus. One of the hardest parts of loss is realizing that you didn't know something was the last time, the last hug, the last I love you, the last moment you thought you'd have 1,000 more of. If I had known, I would have held on longer. I want to say to Brenda, thank you for sharing your sweet husband with me. Thank you for letting me witness the kind of love people spend their whole lives hoping to find. You welcomed me into your life, and because of that, I got to love Jim too. I will always be here for you, and I love you more than words can say. And I will also want to say to the family, thank you for sharing Jim with me. It has been one of the greatest honors of my life to know him, to love him and to be loved by him. These past few days I've been praying and asking God for comfort, and he reminded me of something simple but true. Love doesn't end, not when someone goes home to Jesus, not when we can't see them anymore. Love stays, love remains, and love keeps working in us long after someone we cherish is gone. And finally, I want to say to Jim, because I know he's listening and he's watching over us right now, I love you so much. You don't have to worry. We are going to take care of Brenda. And I know this isn't goodbye, because I will see you again. And until that day comes, I will carry your love with me for all the days I have left. Thank you.